when you consider effectiveness, you have to consider goals. They can be effective, but what are you trying to achieve? Here we are, on the line, discussing something slightly different today, and something that actually gets asked quite a lot in comment sections or in the DMs, and you can probably tell from the title what that is, but we'll get to that very shortly. Before we do continue with the video, I do just want to quickly say just a very quick thank you. As you know, I'm very appreciative of you all for watching and tolerating me, and I'm very appreciative for the audience I do have. I was sat there, I was in bed, I was going through the comments, I was reading some DMs I need to reply to. It kind of just hit me. I'll be honest with you, I nearly cried. I genuinely cannot go over the amount of support that you all show me. I often do kind of question, like, what did I do to deserve such an amazing, positive and supportive community such as you all? And it got me kind of reflecting on like this time last year. So obviously, as you know, I've said a few times before that this time last year, TFNL was kind of in the bin. It wasn't really going anywhere, and I was kind of getting ready to throw in the towel, as it were. And I was kind of thinking about how I used to feel upon uploading videos. I used to get mass amounts of anxiety before uploading videos because I felt like I wasn't sure what the response for those videos would be, because I didn't really feel like I was uploading videos as me. I felt like I was almost portraying somebody I wasn't, somebody who's potentially more negative and dramatic than I actually am, because I thought that's what would drive engagement and would maybe encourage viewers to invest their time into me and my channel. And like I said, I think when you try and pretend to be someone you're not, I think that can lead to a lot of anxiety. Whereas fast forward a year, now every time I upload a video, I get excited. As soon as I kind of became myself online, that's when things started picking up again, and that's where I kind of identified that you don't really need to pretend to be anybody else, and I kind of highlighted that there's nothing wrong with being you. I think if people like you, they like you. If they don't like you, they don't like you. You can't please everybody, and I know I will never please everybody. If you align with me, my message and how I approach things, then I really appreciate you taking the time to invest in my channel, be that through a video watch, a like, a comment, a share, a subscription, whatever it may be. I just appreciate you for being here. Like, without you being here and being so supportive, I wouldn't have what I have, which is the kind of brand of TFNL on a platform like YouTube and Instagram and social media. Thanks for being one of the most supportive and positive communities I've ever seen on YouTube, and thank you for just being the best. Basically, before we get into the video, you know what must occur. If you like the video, let me know you like the video by dropping a like on the video. 1,200 likes in the first 24 hours is the goal, so if we can reach that, that'd be bloody splendid. If you haven't already, please do consider clicking the red button down below and subscribing to the channel, and maybe even the bell next to it so you get notified when I upload every week, twice a week. And if you have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video, drop it down below for comment question of the week, and I shall do so. Bloody laughing, it's go time. I know you're looking at the title and you're thinking, oh Harry, what's occurring, what's the problem? So in a lot of the videos where I kind of talk about like workouts and these, especially at home workouts and more recent videos, we kind of speak about how bodyweight movements limited regarding progression when considering things like hypertrophy and bits and bobs along those lines. This kind of prompted a few comments, messages and questions saying, Harry, why don't you like bodyweight exercises? And why don't you like bodyweight workouts? And I kind of just want to kind of clarify and speak about that in a video, showing some examples from a few content creators. I have no issue with bodyweight workouts whatsoever. I have no issue with bodyweight exercises whatsoever. I think they can be extremely effective. When you consider effectiveness, you have to consider goals. They can be effective, but what are you trying to achieve? So for example, if you're looking at building a lot of muscle mass, they will take you so far, but due to things like limited ability to progressively overload and other bits and bobs, they won't take you as far as resistance training could potentially take you. I'm still acknowledging they can take you somewhere, and you can achieve fantastic results and a fantastic physique from doing bodyweight movements. If you're looking for caloric expenditure, if you move, you will burn calories. The movement you do, the amount of effort you're putting into it, will obviously determine how many calories you're burning, let's say per minute, per hour, whatever it may be. Bodyweight movements can certainly be effective from that regard. And the reason why I really kind of often promote resistance training, regardless of goals, is because I say this in many videos. I think a lot of people can achieve their goals. Let's say that goal is weight loss by walking more, so doing some more steps, eating a bit less, so eating a calorie deficit, and resistance training a few times a week. Let's say 3 times a week. And how you split those 3 days is up to you. You could do push, pull legs, you could do upper, lower, full body, you could do full body for all 3 days. It's really what's best for you. And this was kind of covered in the recent video I did on Natasha and her advice for programming. She gave some really good training split ideas there. So from from that you can essentially put together an effective split. And if you want to put together an effective workout, the link in the description, obviously the TFNL tier system is a free template download. You can download that, you can piece together 3 full body workouts using something following the tier system, and there you go, you've got your resistance training sorted. If you walk 10,000 steps, walk 12,000 steps. If you eat 2,500 calories, eat 2,300 calories. Small things like that, again, very much depending on what you're trying to achieve, where you are currently. So many things to consider. That's just random numbers that came to my head. The other thing to consider when looking at resistance training is, as I said in many videos, the more muscle you have, the more calories you will burn at rest. So your BMR, so basal metabolic rate, increases, which is why I think for fat loss and the maintenance of fat loss, resistance training is severely overlooked. But now that waffle is gone, we're going to take a little bit from 3 different workouts produced by 3 different content creators on the platform, and we're going to talk about things that you may see in those workouts, what to expect from those workouts, and just my thoughts in general. So the first one is a 20-minute full body strength workout, no equipment, no repeat, by Juice and Toya. A name has actually popped up quite a few times recently, so we're going to have a look, we're going to have a gander. I think I like about these videos is that they've chaptered things. This is good. I like this a lot. Variations. Ooh, that is. One day I'm going to get a tan, and you're all going to see. You'll be like, wow, Harry, new person. And you'll be like, you know what? You're right, new tan, new me. I like push-up or press-up variations. For bodyweight movements, I think they're very effective for things like the anterior delts, so the front of the shoulders, the pecs, so the chest, and the triceps. So obviously the muscle at the back of the arm here. And you can make them harder or easier. So you could go on your knees to make them a bit easier, go on your feet to make them a bit harder. You can change your grip to bias certain muscles, maybe a closer grip or a diamond grip, something along those lines, where the upper arm runs a lot more along the side of the body, maybe a bit more tricep dominant, whereas a slightly wider grip where you maybe flare it about 45 degrees, maybe a bit more pec dominant, things along those. So they're actually quite a versatile bodyweight movement that you could do. If you want to make them really spicy, you start jumping around and doing flips with them, like you see people on TikTok do, and I'm just there like, who turned gravity off? The Renegade row with dumbbells and like added resistance then obviously brings in a lot more of the back muscles, like the lats, for example, etc. But the fact there's no added resistance, this is going to eliminate how much the back is actually having to work, because obviously it's not traveling through an active range of motion with resistance. Removing the dumbbell and kind of just focusing on the movement itself obviously brings in things like the core a bit more, because you're trying to maintain that stability so you're not falling over and doing a flip and flapping around like a fish out of water. So split squat variations, again, another great at-home bodyweight movement you can do. I'd probably like try and elevate the back foot a bit to make it more of a split squat and less of a static lunge. You don't need to elevate it a huge amount, maybe to 6 to 8 inches if you have something, but I get this is a no equipment workout. Again, this is a fantastic bodyweight movement that you could then make a resistance based movement by progressively overloading and chucking a dumbbell in hand if you have one to hand. But kind of the big point of this video is when you talk about like strength workout, like how do you define strength? You talk about strength from like a core strength and stability standpoint, you talk about strength from like ability to squat, bench and deadlift more. There are so many definitions of strength. It really does depend on how you define strength as an individual. So if I were to look at this workout, first time looking at it, what would I say this workout could be effective for? Considering there are some movements where you're going through an active range of motion against bodyweight resistance, I say certainly you can expect to experience some muscle hypertrophy, so gain a bit of muscle from workouts like this. Certainly I think you're going to burn a few calories, because obviously if you're moving you're probably going to burn some calories, you know. And the other thing, because they're throwing in some movements where you've got like the Renegade row variation, you've got the split squat, some unilateral and also movements that maybe test stability, balance and the core a bit more, I think this is then going to work your body in slightly different ways than a typical like gym routine might, because like I said, you are incorporating movements that do test your rotation and anti-rotational muscles. So like the obliques, for example, you're testing other kind of more commonly considered muscles like the glutes, the quads, etc. in like a unilateral perspective to identify maybe any potential imbalances, things along those lines. This can be effective, but again, it depends on what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve from this workout. Will you burn mass amounts of calories from this workout? And honestly, I don't think you're ever really going to burn mass amounts of calories in 20 minutes full stop. It depends on what you consider mass amounts of calories. Are you going to build mass amounts of muscle from workouts like this? The ceiling for progression is going to be limited due to you being limited to bodyweight movements. Whereas if you were to incorporate resistance, that ceiling gets a bit higher and the progression can go a bit further. But if you aren't ready to delve into the realm of resistance training, would a workout like this be a good starting point for beginners or people who are maybe stuck at home without equipment? 100%. I think this is a really well thought out routine. I don't think it's got any fancy gimmicks about mass amounts of jumping, flipping, any of that stuff. which again is fine, but it depends what you're trying to achieve. That would be more like caloric expenditure work. For a beginner that's maybe interested in resistance training that, like I said, can't necessarily access resistance training yet, or isn't maybe comfortable doing so, I think this would be a really fantastic starting point, because you're not neglecting things that need to be considered, such as unilateral movements, etc, etc. Anna, somebody I have actually spoken about before, and somebody who did really like the hat I was wearing. I believe I was wearing a pineapple hat at the time, or was it a banana hat? Lovely person actually, was a really nice person. I had a chat with her. No equipment, intense full body crusher hit workout, no repeat, stronger together. I know no repeat is being sold as like almost like a USP, like a unique selling point, and I get why people like it, but again, don't be afraid of repeating movements. Honestly, to get better at movements and to progress those movements further, we often have to repeat them, which is why I often say that training, when looking at, let's say, a muscle building perspective, which is going to come on to the common question of the week question, can actually be quite boring to some degree and quite repetitive. But I do understand if you're looking to do this workout for like the excitement, a bit of a change, you like the no repeats because it kind of keeps you a bit more motivated to actually do it, and you don't get bored with the movements, you don't feel like you're repeating yourself too much, then yeah, sure, no repeat workouts can be fantastic. If they allow you to remain more consistent, then that's always a good sign, if you ask me. I'm just going to choose a few movements that I like, and we're going to talk about them. So for example, the dead bug is actually a movement I really incorporated when I was recovering from a herniated disc. This is more like a rehab movement I was doing. Again, it's not going to be hugely effective for the abdominal region because you're not reducing the distance between the sternum and the pelvis, as we kind of spoke about in the last couple of videos, but it's going to be a lot more hip flexor dominant because of that leg movement, as you can see here, and it's also going to test your coordination, your ability to go opposite sides, which trust me, the coordination aspect of this movement is a lot harder than a lot of people think. You'll think you're going opposite sides, before you know it, your left arm and left leg are doing backflips and your right arm and right leg's in Narnia. Good movement. I like the dead bug, especially for like rehab and prehab purposes. Something like a lunge stretch, for example, is something I wouldn't necessarily incorporate as part of my workout, but I might do this as part of my mobility routine, maybe before my workout. Prioritizing your mobility outside of the gym is very important. What I will say on mobility though is don't go from doing nothing to mass amounts, because that does risk putting you in a new range of motion very quickly, which you may not be accustomed to. So just increase your mobility as you would training. Little and often sort of thing. Are movements like this going to burn? Yeah, they will absolutely burn, because you're getting no kind of point of rest. You are under constant tension for a significant period of time. As you can see, Anna's struggling here herself. I think we all would be. Are they massively effective for building muscle with or without resistance? I would say it's limited. The muscle's not getting lengthened, nor is it really getting shortened. You're kind of hovering at that position of constant tension, which again goes down to just because you're hurting it doesn't mean you're necessarily working it effectively. I would treat this workout myself personally as a workout that covers a lot of things, mainly for beginners maybe, or those who are at home and don't want to go to the gym, or like I said, those who aren't ready to go to the gym. A workout that covers aspects of mobility, covers aspects of movements that take you through an active range of motion, like the press up, as she has featured at some point throughout this video, but also movements that kind of cover the kind of prehab side of things, like injury prevention side of things, like the dead bugs. So this workout ticks a lot of boxes. I wouldn't say it necessarily does anything really well for a beginner or an at-home training standpoint. It does a lot of things quite well, sort of thing. Like I said, mobility, targeting muscles for like hypertrophy benefit to some extent, and prehab sort of things. Sydney Cummings, someone again very popular, and someone I have actually covered last year actually at this point. One of the more popular home workout creators. So you've got Sydney, you've got Heather, you've got Caroline. There's like the main three, I would say. We're doing a 40-minute full body weight workout, fit and strong at home, day 24. This titling is quite nice. Fit and strong. Again, like, you can get fitter, you can get stronger. Love to see it. Nice titling this. The thing I don't like about this workout is I don't like the lack of chapters. As you know, with all my videos, I know I waffle a lot, but I do ensure that I put chapters in there. I would kind of look at this workout as more of like a caloric expenditure workout. There's a bit more movement involved, arguably a bit more fast-paced to some extent, because we do have some faster movements here out. But again, when it comes down to 40 minutes, you have to be realistic with your expectations. Are you going to burn thousands of calories in 40 minutes? Absolutely not. You may burn a few hundred, which is fantastic. Do you have to do calorie expenditure based workouts, or like cardio, for example, to lose weight? Absolutely not. Regarding the health standpoint and the health benefits of cardio and things along those lines, that's another story. Fantastic for the old health. So yeah, we got things again like mountain climbers, quite a fast-paced movement, one that's going to get you sweating, going to really kind of bump that heart rate up and make you feel like you're doing a lot of work and burning some extra calories. In comparison to the other workouts, where the previous two were a bit more slower-paced, maybe focused on more like the potential hypertrophy side of things, maybe a bit of mobility and prehab as well. This is very much calorie expenditure dominant, I would say. And like I said, that's because the movements are faster, the heart rate's going to be more elevated, and the movements place less emphasis on going through like an active range of motion for hypertrophy benefits, we'll say. And when I say hypertrophy refers to the building of muscle. And the thing I always say with any workout is, if you enjoy it and therefore can remain consistent with it, and it aligns with your goals, it's probably a good workout for you. Because it's all well and good saying this is optimal and this isn't optimal, but if you can't stick to it, it's not optimal. The best workout for you is the one that you can remain most consistent with. That kind of covers the main point of this video. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it a bit shorter because my other ones have waffled a lot. So hopefully I've done that. But it's more to highlight that a lot of workouts, and most workouts, serve a purpose. But what that purpose is depends on the workout and your goals. Do I think bodyweight workouts are useless and ineffective? Absolutely not. I think their effectiveness is dependent on your skill levels, also your goals, and your desires. Hopefully that's helped clear up any confusion that people may have regarding my approach to these workouts and just bodyweight training in general. Got to do what's best for you, and got to do what's best for your goals. But now we will crack on with comment question of the week, and this is a good one. I kind of referenced it earlier in the video, but now we're going to talk about it now. I've been going to the gym and doing resistance training for about 1.5 months, and the thing is I'm quite often changing exercises I do due to the fact that I'm still gathering info on topics like which moves are the most effective, and that sometimes some machines are more available than others, and I tend to get bored of one movement pretty quickly. Is it very bad that I do that? Do I must try to stick to the same exercises? So ultimately, again, this very much depends on your goals. If your goals are like optimizing the building of muscle, I think I would change movements as infrequently as possible. So I would only really change movements when you are no longer able to progress them, or if your goals change, obviously. But provided you're able to still progress movements, even if that's a kilo each week or a rep each week, then I'd probably keep it in. I forgot, hang on a second, forgive me. The glasses. But I just want to clarify, this is probably the last time the glasses will make an appearance, because obviously the hats have arrived, some of them anyway. But as you've said, you're still in your earlier stages. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that you're kind of bouncing around and finding out what movements may be more effective and what movements maybe work a bit better for you. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but what I would say is put together a plan and just stick to that plan. It doesn't matter if it's the most effective plan in the world, it doesn't need to be. I'd incorporate the basic movements first, so like the basic compounds, maybe like the squat, etc., as well as obviously machines as well too, and just get really good at the basics first before worrying about what's optimal, what's most effective, what's this and this. Just nail the basics, hammer them down, because like if you can squat well, you can likely leg press well, etc. If you like the video, like I said, please let me know you like the video by dropping a like on the video. 1,200 likes in the first 24 hours is the goal, so we'll shoot for that. If you can reach that, that'd be bloody stupendous. If you haven't already, please do consider clicking the red button down below and subscribing to the channel, and maybe even the bell next to it so you get notified when I upload every week, twice a week. If you too have a question you want me to answer at the end of the next video, drop it down below for comment question of the week and I shall do so. Thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating my sometimes forgetful self and seemingly endless waffle, and thank you for tolerating the video.